What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel today. In today's video we'll be looking at my Premier League team of the year. Remember, football is completely based on opinions, so let me know in the comments down below what your guys' team of the year is, and if you did enjoy the video, remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into my team of the year. So I'll start things off by saying we're using this lineup building website, and we're going to go over 4-3-3 formation for the team of the year. Kicking things off with the goalkeeper then. Now, of course, I do have my own personal opinions on who I should be putting in there straight away. However, I do want to take you guys over some of the stats. And of course, remember, guys, football is always based on opinions, so what I think could be completely different to what you think, and that's the reason there's a comment section. So let me know down below who you guys would be picking for your Premier League team of the year. But yeah, as you can see, of course, clean sheets are pretty important to becoming a goalkeeper, so whoever we put in there is going to have to be, up there and definitely on this list. Raya, of course, currently with the most clean sheets. Matt Sells actually tied with him, and then Pickford and Henderson not too far behind. Looking at the save percentages as well, we've got Flecken at the top with Sanchez and Matt Sells. And yeah, pretty much the most important stat, which I enjoy, or I think is the most important out of the lot of these, is goals prevented. And of course, this is because it's the main goalkeeper's job, right, to try and prevent as many goals as he can from going into the net. And pretty much the man who is top of the pile is the man who I want to pick. And I think it's kind of hard to go anywhere but Matt Sells this season, because not only is he joint top clean sheet at the moment, he's prevented the most goals and he has a very good save percentage. So Matt Sells is going to be my goalkeeper for the Premier League team of the year. Now, I don't think we need much stats for the next two players, as I think this one is fairly obvious, and we are going to go with, I guess, well, the man who has won the title and, of course, an absolute pivotal part to winning the Premier League this year. I don't think there's much debate there. We'll put in Van Dijk. I think he'll be in everyone's teams, and alongside him, obviously, they have conceded the least goals in this Premier League season, so had to obviously be in here as well for me. I don't think there's much real debate there for them two centre backs. Of course, let me know in the comments if you do pick anyone different to these two. Next up, we have the right back position, and I will say this one has definitely taken the longest amount of time for me to decide. And for me personally, it is between these three: Daniel Munoz, Ola Aina, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I will say special shout out to Pedro Porro and Wan-Bissaka, who I do think have had decent seasons, but compared to these three, I think these three are just a little bit above them. And yeah, let me talk through each pick, because this one's actually really difficult. Now, of course, Trent has had less minutes than the other two, but he's won the title. And of course, he's getting his move to Real Madrid. And I don't think that move is based on this season, of course, because he's had a lot of slander this season, being subbed off a lot. And yeah, but then again, he's still won, the title. And he's had, early parts of the season. I think people forget this quite easily, but he was fantastic the early parts of the seasons before, obviously, all the transfer talk surrounded his name. Ola Aina, I think, is interesting. I think for those of you guys that would have watched him, you'd be like, okay, this guy has to be in there, because he's just fantastic defensively, and that is what being a right back is all about. Sometimes maybe the goals and assists are, can overshadow their actual, job of defending, which I think Ola Aina and Nottingham Forest have done a very good job this season, and I do also feel like it's a little bit harsh for me not to be including any centre backs from the Nottingham Forest sort of side, because they have been, Murillo and Milinkovic have done well, but Saliba and Van Dijk are too good for me. So, and then we have Munoz, who of course they've won the FA Cup. Do you take that into account for, a Premier League team of the year? I don't think I can. I don't know if you can. You take that in, because I guess it is part of his workload, and 4 goals, 5 assists, a lot more of an attacking fullback than Aina, and similar type of vibe to Trent. And in terms of this season, you can see statistically Munoz has been fantastic. 7.4 rating with 3,000 minutes played. Obviously Trent similar, but having played nearly 700 minutes less. And Aina, obviously played a lot more as well, but a little bit worse rating. But that kind of comes hand in hand with the goals and assists. Obviously, he's got less than Munoz, but do you really want that in your right back? So I think this one is going to be a heavily debated topic. I think no matter who I pick here, someone's going to think differently, if that makes sense. So I think if you're going for a more attacking right back, Munoz is a better pick, and so is Trent. But I think defensively, for me, it has to be Aina, just purely based on just how good he has been and how good that Nottingham Forest side has been. So for me, Ola Aina comes in at right back. Now for the left back position, and honestly, again, very tough decision and probably a controversial one again. But yeah, starting things off, Lewis Skelly, of course, again, statistically doesn't look the best, but just unbelievable short season that he's had. But I don't think he's been, he's not played enough minutes to quite make a team of the year for me. So Arsenal fans, don't hate me, but I just don't think he's quite there yet. Maybe in seasons to come he can be included for sure. Up next, again, Lewis Hall. I think people might forget because he's been injured for a little while now, but definitely was the best left back in the Premier League for a little while, a short stint probably during the mid sort of season. Of course, Livramento has moved out to that sort of left back position now, and he is excelling in that left back position. So, yeah, I think Lewis Hall definitely honourable mention, and I think if he didn't pick up that ankle injury, and he was still playing now, he definitely would be more likely to get into the team. Up next, we have Gvardiol, who's been doing it all season. Another man with over 3,000 minutes played. And even when Man City were at their lowest, he still shined, scored a couple of goals as well. And you could argue he's a centre back by trade, but he has been playing left back for Man City this season, or a large majority of it. I think nearer to the end of the season, he has sort of slotted back in at centre back, which is his more preferred position, I believe. But yeah, and then we have Cucurella as well, who has had a great season for Chelsea. Again, even when they're performing poorly, he does shine through. So I think purely based on that, I think Lewis Hall can't really be in this argument purely based on his injury for me. Although I do love him and I think he's a great left back and definitely top three for me this year. And then it's between Cucurella and Gvardiol. Again, let me know in the comments who you would go for, but I think for me it has to be Gvardiol, and I think he rounds out my team of the year sort of defense there. And yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that. So we've got Gvardiol, Saliba, Virgil van Dijk, Ola Aina, and Sells to sort of cover the back line. So our midfield options are absolutely stacked, and no doubt I'm probably going to miss someone. But yeah, let's go through all of the players I'm sort of thinking about for this team. Now, Ryan Gravenberch is pretty much an absolute no-brainer, to be honest, because obviously they won the league. He's been fantastic, probably their best midfielder. Although I will say, and yeah, obviously played a lot of football, and I will say McAllister also, equally just as good as Gravenberch. Of course, he's had his injuries, but he's played less minutes. So for that reason, I think Gravenberch just has to be in the team of the year for me. So yeah, I think compared to everyone else on this list, I think this is one that probably just, he pretty much enters himself in just for winning the Prem, really, and being the best midfielder from the team that won the Prem for me. So yeah, he's kind of the non-negotiable in my opinion. And then moving on, we have Tonali, who of course, he's come back from his ban and just excelled this Newcastle team from, I think they were about 12th, like mid-table, all the way up into the Champions League, like fighting for them Champions League spots. So I think that goes, that alone sort of speaks volumes. Of course, Bruno Guimaraes has had a great season for, well, he's had a decent season for Newcastle, but I think Tonali just gets the nod over him for me. But yeah, someone to consider. Moises Caicedo, again, absolutely fantastic and probably is very likely to be in the team. And I think for me, just edges it over Tonali. So for that reason, I think I would give it Caicedo. If Tonali had played the whole season, might have been a bit of a different story. Declan Rice, wow. I mean, yeah, just absolute levels. Of course, what he done in the Champions League, do we account for that in the Premier League team of the year? Maybe not. I don't know. But the goals he provides on top of just the defensive cover he gives to that back line is incredible, and I think is a massive reason as to why Arsenal have conceded as little goals as they have this season. So for me, I think Declan Rice has to be in this team. I don't think I don't think there's much debate there to be had. Caicedo's great, but for me, it's got to be Rice. Then Tillemans has actually had a fantastic season as well on a few of the set pieces. I think a lot of people underrated him before the season started, and I've always rated Tillemans, especially when he was at Leicester. But I think he's definitely been a great player. Palmer's an interesting one because I don't really know if you consider him a midfielder. I guess you would. But yeah, he's kind of been on and off this season, and you say that, and he's still sitting there with 15 goals, 8 assists. Um, Bruno Fernandes, I think, again, just a fantastic season in a terrible team, which kind of is, fair play to him for that. But I think for me, if you're comparing like attacking sort of midfielders, Palmer has had a better season than Bruno, so for that reason, I would have to get rid of Bruno. And then yeah, you've got McAllister, like I say, sort of a bit more of attack-minded. Palmer. So for this last position, of course, I've sort of gone with two DMs. For that reason, I think the third one I want to kind of go with a bit more of an attacking midfielder. So Caicedo, I think, really unlucky to miss out, and probably in a lot of people's teams. I'd probably say Tillemans is a bit more defensive minded as well, so for that reason I'm going to get rid of him as well, because I do want to have like an attacking midfielder sort of in there, and I think it's probably going to be between these two as well. McAllister, of course, quite a defensive midfielder. Palmer, has he really done enough to be in the team of the year? I feel like Caicedo has had a better season than Palmer, but even saying that, I think we're quite short-term memory in terms of forgetting that he has actually had a lot of goal contributions this season and performed really well and played a lot of minutes. So yeah, maybe because our expectations of Palmer were so high at the minute because obviously he's not performing as well. We think of him like not doing too well. But you know what? I think he still makes team of the year for me, but that's purely based on the fact that I don't want to have three defensive midfielders. I think Caicedo would probably, or McAllister maybe. Oh, tricky decision actually, because McAllister did obviously win the title. Damn, that's actually a really tricky decision, isn't it, guys? I'm gonna put. I feel like because we need a few more Liverpool players in here. They did win the title. Let's go with McAllister. Of course, I think I consider him a bit more attacking than the other two. So, yeah, I think Palmer probably unlucky to miss out. I think probably the best like attack especially in a quite a dying position. Center attacking mid is slowly sort of being killed off in football. So he's doing the business there. But yeah, I would say that's probably my midfield three. Let me know in the comments if you would have anything different. And it's time for the final three in the Premier League Team of the Year. And of course, a massive part to being a forward is scoring goals. Let's be honest, scoring goals, getting assists, and realistically, I think I'm just going to go ahead and put him in here. Yeah, because everyone will have him in his Team of the Year. He's probably been the best player in the whole Prem. So Salah goes in. For me, Isak has definitely been probably one of the best strikers this season. On top of playing, obviously, recent times he's not scored as many because he's been booked in for a groin surgery, and he's been playing pretty much injured. Which a lot of the season actually, because even early parts he had an injury and was still playing through it, and to still score 23 goals being injured for a lot of it is impressive. And Buemo has been fantastic, but unfortunately we've already used that right side for Salah, and for me he's more of a wing, or playing on the wing as opposed to down the middle. Yeah, I think for me Isak has to be in there. Purely based on the fact that he's scored the second amount of, second most goals, and he's playing injured. And he has had more games than Haaland, but I just personally would. Who would you guys prefer in your team? Let me know in the comments down below. Isak or Haaland? I feel like Isak does more for a team, but Haaland is a better maybe finisher. I feel like Isak gets involved in the play a lot more than Haaland personally. And then yeah, looking at assists probably for the left winger. Alanga's had a great season. Of course, Saka, I mean, injured for I think 3 months and still up here is definitely something to note. But I think Alanga is actually a very good shout, to be fair. If I could play him Puimo on the left, then I absolutely would, because I think he's had a phenomenal season. But yeah, you can see here striker right forward, which is already occupied by the top two in this even metric. Probably top two in a lot of metrics, that's for sure. But yeah, I think for the left wing position, oh, it's actually quite a tricky one. We put, to be fair, Cunha, has he played off the left this season? Be interested. Yeah, he's played off the left a few times. Could we put Cunha off the left? Is that a little bit cheating? Because he's been fantastic, and I think everyone would agree with me that Wolves probably relegated without him. And maybe it's nice to have a player that's a little bit lower in the table. You know what I mean? Because we probably haven't included that many players that are in a lower tier club. So you know what? I'm gonna go with Cunha. Maybe that's a little bit of cheating there because he's more through the middle than out wide. But you know what? I don't mind that. We're gonna go with that for my Premier League team of the year. Let me know what you would change in the comments down below. So there you have it, boys. There is my team of the year. Very hard to pick from, and I will be doing another video similar to this one in the future to do with, you know, sort of building teams of the year. I might look into sort of maybe the World 11, so all other players from all of the clubs, and also maybe a little challenge builder for the Premier League. Maybe I can only pick one player from each club and stuff like that, because it could include some players that are unlucky to miss out in this one due to perhaps Liverpool winning the league and stuff. So yeah, definitely something to look at in the future. Let me know if you guys do sort of enjoy this sort of concept, or you enjoy sort of maybe me making future videos on that. Do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you guys in a future video. Peace.